Today we thought of talking about our journey from becoming a chef to a content creator.
And figuring out what actually works like on the Cook channel took us like a lot of trial and error.
அந்த 65 உருட்டி விடுவேன்ல that took me 45 minutes because he wasn't satisfied with the shot.
Like sometimes people in the internet don't make sense. Hi guys, welcome to Cookd Bytes episode 2. I'm Rajeev.
I'm Ranjith.
I'm Prince.
And I'm Sanjna.
And today we thought of talking about our journey from becoming a chef to a content creator. So I have some few pointers with me. So let me read out to you just to brief you all. So the thought process that goes behind making a million-worthy reel and making recipes, contents in general, making a career out of it, the pros and cons of being a content creator slash chef, and how can a chef become a content creator and how to build your own brand. So let's start off with the first point, the thought process that goes behind a million-worthy reel. So what I learned was when I first joined, I just stuck on to making recipe videos because I had no idea how to make a reel work. So then, since Prince was already like making reels for a long time, he had a better idea how things work and what people relate to, and so like the small nuances that he had, I took time for me to learn, and I think I've gotten better as time progresses.
So Prince, can you tell us what those smaller nuances are that you've learned and been able to teach Rajeev as well?
Yeah, maybe first just talk about how different it is cooking on camera than it is off camera. Like I think the first thing is the time involved. Like some dish that takes 30 minutes will take probably 1.5 to 2 hours to cook.
Right.
On camera. I think the main thing is you should visualize how the end video would be. You need to have a fair idea of that. I think since you're creating the content, it's your something that you're creating.
Right.
So that is one thing, the time, and then a lot of other things is like it's not only the food. Like you have to, it's a collaborative effort, right? So I think like it's good to get a lot of input from the cinematographer. It's like it helps you also to learn a lot of stuff when you get a lot of input from the editors, cinematographers, and the social media people who are involved. So I think what you said, like making a million-worthy reel, all of that. Okay, so for us at least, we have a few buckets of reels I think we put into. I think one of them is like ASMR, another is educative,
Right.
aesthetic,
Then story, like or story proper
story, and like with a proper emotional.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have
Say the word.
Yeah, we have a nickname for it over here called the sensual voiceover, because for that kind of content you need to like invoke nostalgia and emotion and all that. So you have to speak in that slow manner. That's what suits the content best. So I think it's a subtle.
And apparently using slang also works.
Yeah, and when you mix up languages, like
Right.
when you speak English, konjondu Tamil, and the mari that or the other way around also works.
Yeah, the people enjoyed.
Yeah, it's like adding salt to a sweet dish, a bit of sugar to a savory dish. That's
Ranju bro, நீங்க என்ன நினைக்கிறீங்க?
Oh, for me, என்னன்னு சொல்ல, mostly learning came from Prince, Aryan and Sanjna. I keep observing the way they work, the way they think, and how they proceed with a certain shoot and all of that. It took me a while to grab onto that. I think I still have a lot more to learn from it, but yeah.
I mean, the biggest difference that I also found, like Prince, like the first point that you mentioned was you need to clearly know that you're not cooking like for people per se anymore, which is like the huge difference from when you shift from being just a chef to like becoming a content creator, because you're like no longer cooking for people like who are going to eat, or you're not serving at a restaurant anymore. Like you need to have it in your head that you're cooking for the camera. So whatever is necessary for that, which is why he said like if something takes you like half an hour to like actually cook it, you have to be prepared to like cook it in slow motion for the next like say probably 2 hours, just because you get the right kind of footage, the right aesthetic that you want for your shots. So I think that was like super important in general. But apart from that, like all of them mentioned, like it's more of like getting a hang of things. And usually, I think certain content creators, especially if it's an individual, they kind of figure out a specific format that works for them, and they keep doing that over and over again. And Cookd, like as a page, I think it took us a long time to figure out the kind of format that works for us, just because it's not like a single individual who's here. As you can see, there's 4 of us right here who are just on the culinary team, and apart from that, there's so many other faces that also come on the channel. So we can't do like a fixed format. Although, like say for instance, Prince does have his Cook Basics, which is primarily his format, which now some of us have also started making episodes for, but it's more like a cameo. It's still like his thing. So figuring that out and figuring out what actually works like on the Cook channel took us like a lot of trial and error for almost 2 years, I guess. I mean, Reels didn't start when Cooked started. I think probably a year down the line is when Reels as a feature was introduced on Instagram. But even since then, it took us like a year to figure out. Earlier, it would all be like, we create a lot of content and then it's hit or miss. It either goes to 1 million or not, but we could never really unearth why it went to 1 million. Of course, we'd be happy, but we wouldn't have a reason as to why it did.
I think after that we started like finding a pattern.
Yeah.
So one piece of content would work, something that I experimented, and just because it worked, we give it another shot. And if it works, we know that there's something over there, like something worth repeating. So I think a few like the ASMR and stuff like that is something we didn't start with. We somewhere along the line we thought we'll just try it out because we saw a lot of other creators, and now I started it, and we have a few variations in that itself. So that is like a few things like we have as is becoming our thing, like our niche, like how we said some individual creators have their thing. I think the thing where you like, okay, Adhyana's content. So he takes a regional dish that he's eaten all his life, and he
Tell the story behind
his,
it.
His individual story. It could be like some kuti memory that he has, or something that's very specific but invokes a lot of emotion. I think that's kind of becoming a thing.
And the other thing I learned about like voiceover reels is that I thought nobody would care about like the smaller details about like if you have a cold, drink this, the pepper tukala pota rasam. But I thought like nobody would care that pepper potu rasam kudikiran, but why would I watch this guy make it? Then it started working for him, and people started like talking about, oh yeah, I can relate to this. I can relate to a lot of smaller things that we tell in the voiceover parts. So first I didn't know that. அதுக்கப்புறம் கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமா I started to get the hang of it. அதுக்கப்புறம் like okay, இப்படி இதெல்லாம் பேசினா I can make the viewer relate to my content அப்படின்னு ஒரு குட்டி இது வந்து.
And one more thing is like from a chef to making content, you kind of don't realize like the kutti things we just take for granted that sorry ellarkum theriyum, like everyone knows, but then all like many things like people want to know, they want to learn from that video, which you wouldn't have mentioned because we just assume like it's general knowledge, but it isn't. Like so I got this, like my sister watches some video and then she's like because she didn't know how to cook at all until a while ago, and so she used to tell like, so how do you do this, because in the video we just taken like we wouldn't show that in detail. So with that feedback and all, I think we started making more content like as something as simple as chopping an onion. Like lot of requests came in, and then we put the video, and that actually did well and all. So
but then individuality also like matters a lot, right? Like if everyone now, say for instance, like he said, if like the whole story concept is working for someone, it's not a given that you see some other creator doing it and okay, I'm just going to take that because his videos are all going to 1 million, so I'm just going to pick up that and I'm going to do it on my side, and like you're just not guaranteed that it would do well for you. So it's more of trial and error, like individually, and then you figure out what works for you and your audience and the connect that you have with your audience, and then you kind of do that. Because just because like say for instance, like they said, we're using a few Tamil words, it's because our audience is primarily from South India. They can relate to that content because one, obviously they can understand, and two, it's like probably from a very relatable, like they said, nostalgic moment that most people would have gone through in their life, or at least specific to that region. So that's what kind of strikes a chord with people. Now naturally, if you're using Tamil words and if our primary viewership was from North India, that's not something that they would relate to. So obviously the content wouldn't reach as much as it is if we weren't from this part of the country. So I've seen even each of these creators, like it could be anything. They could be quirky, it could be educational, it could be pure, just simple explanation of a dish. Like you could just have your own way of doing it. There's even creators like who get hit in the face or something.
I was thinking about when
Right?
you're talking about it,
Yeah.
I kept thinking of him. Nehal
So
Karkara.
exactly. So it doesn't have to just be one way of doing things. It can be funny, it can be quirky, it can be serious, it can be like literally anything, or it can even be like a tagline. A lot of content creators also have this thing in wherein either in the beginning or the end they have like a specific tagline that they use either on their page in general or for specific series that they run. So I think that also is something that really helps individual creators get reach to their content.
And one more thing is like sticking with something that you have proper conviction that this I want to do this in.
Yes.
So once you keep doing that, now people expect that they're gonna watch this kind of this format, like they're gonna watch a video. So like once he's stuck with basics, now people know what are they gonna watch. Like he has a consistent intro, consistent outro with a tagline.
Right.
So அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தா like people get an idea, okay, this is what I'm gonna get myself into. இந்த மாதிரி வீடியோ இருக்கு.
I think once you figure out your niche, your kind of content that hits the spot, you need to keep doing it. So it becomes a thing that's expected of you.
Right.
Someone watches a kind of video and they immediately think of you.
Yeah.
Like you said, it could be one line or could be some action like the towel.
Yeah.
Could be anything like that. Like there's a lot of content creators from other countries too. The guy that started throwing the knife on the board. Then like let's get cooking. All
The
of that.
chili pepper guy.
Yeah, chili pepper.
Yeah.
Now, if anyone says Thai chili pepper,
Yeah,
all of us
exactly.
think of it.
Yeah.
So, I think if a creator is watching this, the first thing you need to know is like all of this is a very good tips. But I think the main thing that they should take into this thing is to figuring out the audience. Because, like you said, not everything works for everyone. Like if we did the chili pepper, it wouldn't work for us because we don't even get Thai chili peppers. It doesn't make sense to our audience. So that's the main thing, I guess. And that comes by trial and error, right? Like you need to keep experimenting different content until you know. After a while, you understand what kind of content works.
Yeah, like you said a little while ago, we tried a bunch of things. Something kind of worked. It might not have gone to 1 million, but it kind of worked. You see that people are engaging with it nicely. They're saying nice things to you. They talk to you in the comments. Then you're like, okay, let me give this another shot. Okay, let me give this another shot. Maybe once or twice more. If it works, then you'll slowly start seeing it, get more and more viewership and more engagement. And if it doesn't, you decide at one point like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to drop this and I'm going to try something new. And I think like in social media in general, the thing that you mentioned about being consistent, I think that is like the only thing that's a given.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep experimenting and you also have to keep repeating certain things. So like if you're not consistent with your videos, with the effort that you put behind the videos, I don't think you can ever make a million worthy reel or even establish like a personality for yourself on social media.
That's the meaning.
Because there's just too many people on there for you to actually stand out and people should want to follow you for the stuff that you show them.
A lot of them are spoiled for choice. It's mostly about giving them a feeling of home on a small screen. Maybe
Something
that's what
familiar.
I feel. Yeah. Like let it be funny or like you said, any emotion that it invokes. But after a long day of work, they expect a feeling of home.
Right.
Like something lighthearted to keep them going to the rest of the day. I think that one thing, figuring out that one thing is important. So
And it's just that food is a great place for that because no matter how your day is going, like food is like a given. Whatever emotion you're experiencing, you always want to have some kind of food, irrespective of what you're going through. So being a content creator in the food space, you'll always be relatable to some sort of audience somewhere across the world. So it's impossible that no one relates to you at all, just because food is such an interesting topic and most people look forward to a nice meal. So if you can show them a nice meal, either just aesthetically or showing them or you're teaching them how to cook it, there are like different things that you could do. But that being said, obviously content creators, it could be anything. Like you said, it could be someone who's like making you feel warm and at home. There are also like sport pages and aspirational pages and motivational. I think there's so many categories, but yeah, I guess in food there's actually a lot that you can do.
Yeah, I've seen pages that talk some random life event that happened to them while
Oh, yeah.
cooking. And that is actually like super relatable, like the stuff that happens to a regular person who does a 9 to 5, and they also work 9 to 5, and they also do content creation. So they talk about their work life, and talk about the good things, the bad things that happened in their day while cooking. So like there's that they involve they become more personal. They talk about their personal life, and the way they tell the story is very important. You have to like grasp the the viewer's attention. Like once you start doing it, you get better at it. Like Adhyana, for example, he's a great storyteller. Like he makes you like want to watch that video with his story. So I think like if you keep like telling stories, you day by day you get better at it.
And I think that's like good example of like finding a niche.
Yeah.
Until a few months ago, he used to make content, but not this kind of content.
Right.
So once he figured out that it works, you keep doing it. And now people expect it from him. No?
Yeah.
Like when they see his face, they expect a story.
Yeah.
Like,
Because that's now his social media personality.
Yes.
He's just that person who tells a
His
story
persona, yeah.
about a regional Tamil dish and makes it in a very easy way that when you see it, you feel like, okay, I can make this too. Like, it's not aspirational, it's not fancy, it's not difficult, it's not complicated. It's just simple ingredients, simple dish, nice explanation.
yep.
Yeah,
Good
since
story,
he doesn't have like a culinary background, he makes it relate to like other people who don't have cooking background. So like his thought process is much different than what we think. Like
He doesn't get
Yeah.
too technical.
yeah, he doesn't get technical at all. That's why like Nariya people relate to his
Like,
content.
it's completely
I think.
relatable. There's no part of the video that you can't understand. Like,
Yeah, and that's one more thing I noticed. If I don't know if this is the correct way to put it, but some of the content like that, the content feels very human and personified. So and that's another thing that people actually like, because that's something that not many people get to their closed ones and all of that, and you seek comfort from a third person's perspective and everything. And when you humanize content like that, and I think it makes you go back for it again.
Especially
and again.
on social media, I feel like just because most people have this perception that social media is absolutely fake, like you're not your true self.
Yeah.
When you find something that seems genuine, seems authentic, or like someone's actually behaving like their normal self, like they would off camera, I think you look forward to more content from those people. Because like it's very easy to judge and just bracket people saying, okay, you know what, this is fake, or this is
Just for camera.
not exactly. So this is not how life is and everything. And most people, even eventually, there's a lot of cases where, you know, there are misunderstandings and everything, where people think that just because those people are a certain way on camera, that life itself is like that for them. Like it's very deceptive, where you think like everything is perfect. Like for instance, even in a cooking video, people might think that every single dish we make turns out perfectly just because it looks amazing like on camera. One, obviously, like credit to the cinematographers, they make the food look great. Apart from that, the food is normal, like, and at least our food is like 100% natural. We don't add anything even while like taking photographs and everything. So which is why a lot of people think like, you know, our page or the content that we put out either on the Cookd app or on Instagram is like real, it's genuine, and I can make it at home as well.
like what you see is what you get.
Exactly.
If you make it at home, you can get exactly the same thing as long as you
Yeah.
follow the recipes. We don't do stuff off cam right before we show you, like no colors and stuff, because like people who know like about food photography and stuff, when they photograph food, most of the food is inedible.
Yeah.
They just make it for the sake of camera.
Yeah.
So
like for the food ad shoots and stuff.
Yeah.
stuff like for example, for milk, they don't use milk because
They use glue.
Yeah, they use glue. They don't use ice cream because it melts on camera. They use mashed potatoes and make it look like ice cream. So I don't think, like, we don't have any of those gimmicks.
Yeah.
So like how you said, like people when they see it's real, I think that's one thing that we hit it.
Yeah.
But that's also a tough boundary to make. Controversial thing here, but the influencer culture sort of saturated Instagram to making you believe that a certain fake is actual. So breaking that barrier and trying to get in the way most of us do actually might have been tough, and I think people are starting to realize that slowly.
But I think that's where consistency kind of pays
Yeah.
off. If you had done just one video where you're trying to be natural and every other video where you are doing something that's unnatural or like fake, then people would be able to tell. But consistently for 2.5, 3 years, if you keep putting out the same kind of content, they know that this is what they can expect from your page. Even new followers who come in will distinguish you based on that you are different because of this. And I think most of the people like who have personally interacted with, who have tried the cooked recipes, all only talk about how easy it is or how I could follow instructions and actually end up with a good result. It's not just about, okay, there are some instructions, there's a video, I can try it out, maybe it's a hit or miss, but most often they're like, okay, you know what, I tried it out, I just gave it a shot and it worked.
And they wouldn't have expected it.
Exactly.
Most
Because
cases.
I've tried making recipes from other channels where they give you measurements and the end product is like completely different from what I saw in the
Oh.
video. So like once I started using the Cookd app and stuff, like generally Cooked in general, like I started following recipes to the dot and I actually achieved what I saw in the video. So like, and we also make the recipe videos seem very easy to follow and stuff. So like we're like very beginner friendly in our
Right,
recipe
yeah.
videos.
So apart from like reels, what goes on in your mind when you make like recipe content, just regular recipes, because that's something we do as well. Even though it does not get as much reach as reels, we just put up longer videos. We have that on YouTube as well. Or we used to put up carousel posts, which is video content on it, teaching people how to make recipes in like an absolutely no gimmick, no fancy shots and all that. It's just like very realistic sort of way. So what went on in your head when we were doing that?
So when I come up with like things to do on cam for recipes, I just scroll through the internet and sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to make this and I want to teach others to do the same thing I'm doing. So like something might interest me. So it'll be like very personal to me, like something I ate in my childhood, something that my grandmom or mother makes. So I get the recipes from them because I like the recipes. I've been eating it or tasting it for like very long time. So I want to like showcase it as a recipe video and teach people how to make it. So that is one personal thing that goes on in my mind.
I mean, so what you are essentially doing is you're documenting a lot of recipes before they get lost.
Yeah.
You know, kind of using your mom's recipes and grandma's recipes, they would probably go off with them if there was no way to document it. So actually making videos of recipes is a great way to document recipes and ensure that they don't get lost. Say for instance, like my grandma might make a specific narthangai urga, which I know that I might not get in any store, but also along with her I might lose the recipe as well. So it's like super important to document these recipes for the sake of nostalgia, for the sake of just variety, and like it's a part of your growing up. So you lose it, like you completely lose it once the person's not with you anymore. So that's really nice. What do you think of?
Again, I take inspiration from my mom, grandma, browse online. For me, when I decide to make a recipe, I will make sure that it is not tough for me to make it. Only then can I teach it to someone else. If I am doubtful of a certain recipe, saying, if I can't make it, how can I teach someone to make it? So in that way, there's more learning. And if you're keen on teaching someone something that you yourself don't know, it's okay. Take 2 extra days, 3 extra days, learn about it. Maybe give it a trial, retry, fail, and then come up with something foolproof and then teach people. So for me, clarity is pretty important because you've seen me fail. So in that way, I've learned that clarity is very important while coming up with a recipe. And I know, just I need to feel good at the end of the shoot.
Right.
Only then will I be satisfied with that content going online. So
It's pretty much the same. I think when you're a chef, you only want to serve a dish that you think tastes nice. You wouldn't want people to taste it if you personally don't really like it or aren't very happy with it. You're always unhappy. Even if, you know, other people taste it and go, no, that's great, and you don't have the satisfaction, still you're like, you know what, there's something missing there. Irrespective of what you say, like with all due respect, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Is
You
the
can-
thought
just
that
being nice
goes
to you,
on.
that's the same.
Yeah,
You can't have
exactly.
that doubt.
You're like ultra critical about your own creation, so you don't really accept it
Yeah.
when it's not the way that it's meant to be, but like in your head.
Yeah, I've had like only a handful of recipes that have been like, yes, this is the best recipe I've ever made. Like other than that, like everyone in the office tastes the food and they're like, "Samaya irukda, super irukda." And I'll have like, though something is missing in this recipe. Like,
But I think being a content creator, like in general, especially if you're showing recipes, it's super important to actually do your research and ensure that you are confident about the dish, because you literally have the opportunity to be viewed by millions of people across the world. And if they are taking you as inspiration or taking you as a teacher to kind of learn the dish, like it's your duty to teach them the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't one right recipe, it could be your own recipe, but like you have to show them in such a way that they can actually make it at home and it turns out. So at the back, like it's very important to do like research, figuring out, you know, the ingredients that go in it, the right kind of ingredients and the method of preparation. Essentially you have to do justice to that recipe, I think.
Especially pet peeve of mine, like when people claim that something is very authentic and then they do the opposite of what is actually done. That's
instead of
kind
tomatoes, they'll add like ketchup to it.
You know, like I don't have a problem people adding like
You can
substitutes.
make it your own.
Yeah,
they
don't
can
call
make
it
it
like
their-
authentic,
yeah.
traditional.
This is a very authentic way of making this, and then people do like okay, fish molly. Like there's an authentic way to make it, no? But people do like random stuff with the recipe and call it like an authentic this thing. That's something that bothers me. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I feel like some of those people have just not done enough research,
Yes,
and they
exactly.
think that what they're doing is actually authentic. Like, so there's no like no blame on them per se, but then a little better research to
But-
understand would be nice.
When their content is going to be viewed by so many people, they have the responsibility
important,
to.
yes.
It's up to them. They have to do the work before.
It is, and it's just that on social media, it's so easy to tick off or offend large groups of people
Yep.
by doing something wrong, especially when you're making something from a culture that's not yours. When it is your culture, invariably you end up doing authentic, close to authentic, or you say that it's my own version and people accept it. But if you're doing something from like a different culture and you go wrong in that, it can really tick off a lot of people. You can actually face backlash for that on that piece of content. So that could affect you as a content creator depending on what you did wrong, I think. Spoke or showed or expressed anything that's against normal views, I think.
Yeah, speaking of backlash, does hate comments get to you guys? Like, do you get annoyed? Do you get like frustrated reading those comments?
No, possibly not. See, if it's something that's very ultra critical on a specific recipe, then I think we have always taken it constructively, where we have tried to gone back actually and redone the recipe by figuring out the right way to do things, because I don't think any of us here, at least in this room, are afraid of accepting that we made a mistake. So that's also very important. So if you have made a mistake, like if you can acknowledge that and kind of rectify that, people appreciate that as well. So if you go back and say, you know, I've come back with a new and improved or a more authentic version than the last one that I did, people do take apology also very easily. So I think it's both ways. Like they get offended easily, like in general, but they also accept apology easily.
And like how Ranjith said, like you need to be satisfied. Only then would the content be good.
Correct.
I think one example we have of that is rasgulla.
Oh yeah.
Oh
So,
my
it is-
god.
Rasgulla is something that we all of us tried.
Yeah, yeah.
You haven't tried yet?
Except
Yeah,
Rajeev.
me
Yeah, we told him that it would be his interview task,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So all of us have tried making rasgulla, but then
5 times amongst
Yeah.
the 3 of us. So,
5 times,
yeah.
and like it's the result is vary from like very bad to like not bad. Like
Close.
Yeah, it's all right, but still not a great rasgulla. It's not worthy of that much time and effort that you're going to put into making the dish.
Like we can't teach you to make that.
Yes, that's why 5 times I have tried shooting it and we haven't published it. Till
Yeah,
now.
so you can look it up on Cookd, on the app or on our social media. Like you won't
Yeah.
find a recipe for that.
But one day,
Yeah.
we'll learn how to make rasgulla properly and we'll show you.
Or we'll get an expert to do it.
Yes.
Because we won't do justice to that. If we are not able to do justice to that recipe, we will get someone to show you who can do justice to that recipe.
So now everyone knows Cookd has a nemesis.
Yes.
So if any of you who are listening actually have a great rasgulla recipe or is from Chennai and is willing to do it for us, By all means.
Yes.
Yes, please come over. We will give you a good day of food. You can give us a bowl of rasgulla.
Yes.
We will forever be grateful.
It's a fair trade. Or if you can't come to Chennai, you can always send in the recipe and we'll credit you for it.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So our recipe contributor program is something that actually exists just for this purpose, where you can share personal recipes of yours to the Cookd social media team, either through comments or on our DMs or on WhatsApp, and we'd be happy to recreate that dish and give you credits for it as well. So that's a channel that's always open for us to learn new recipes.
Okay, speaking of content, like so far you talked about like planning content properly
Yeah.
to make it do well or to make it have value and all that. But then have you had a piece of content that like you just did it, but then you perform like extremely well? I know that you have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, of course.
The chutney?
No, the kurkure. So there was this audio that was trending in one very childish voice. This kid says, yeah, 10 rupees de turtre. And literally there was just it wasn't even like a planned shoot. It was like, okay, let's just take a bag of kurkure. Wait, before getting to that, like that's why it's important to capitalize on trends that happen on social media, I think. Even if it is kind of in an unrelated domain, you can still try to make it like your own piece of content, where that audio was trending for a caricature or for like a cartoon video or something. But then from there we were like, okay, fine, you know, it says kurkure is food, there's something that we can do in this. And there was no planning or pre-production or any sort of ideation behind that. It was like, okay, you know what, grab a 10 rupee packet of kurkure, snip the top, put a bunch of ingredients into it, which are not expensive again because 10 rupees kurkure, so let's not put 100 rupees worth of ingredients into that. Put like 10 rupees worth of ingredients into that and shake it up and have it as a snack. And that,
It blew up.
yeah, I mean, it was kind of unimaginable.
It crossed 20 million views on
Yeah.
Instagram.
But then that, I think it was both capitalizing on trends that happen, but at the same time also Instagram has this thing where there's trending audio. So if you use those different audios that are trending at that moment, which is also partially capitalizing on a trend only, that also gives you like additional reach. So looking for music that's actually trending on that platform and then trying to use that for your content or creating content that's relatable to that, I think also helps.
Yeah, the same thing. Like recently we did that Vadakan audio.
Yeah.
It was not related to food at all.
Yeah.
But we like.
We made it really
Yeah, we
different.
made it relate.
Kind of was, but I think in those cases, like being quick is what matters.
Yes.
Like when it's in trend feed and it's all over
Yeah.
people's Instagram and they have it in their minds, like making it relatable to you is something that your agility matters in that aspect.
And you can't judge how long a trend lasts. Like
Yeah.
it could be one day, it could be a week, it could be a month. So it's just, I don't
Nobody
know.
knows.
Yeah, like fastest fingers, I guess.
I still remember that day. She was shooting something. She went into the editor's room or Adhyana's room to talk about the reel. 2 minutes, she's back out. Whatever she was shooting, table was cleared. Nataraj was called. Like, here, kurkure, dum, 20 million.
Do you guys have any piece of content like you did not expect to perform?
Oh yeah, I made when I first joined, I made that Dora cakes. I didn't.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I just.
That is for Children's Day.
Yeah.
We planned it for Children's Day, but I didn't expect it to like do 800K because that was like the first video that blew up for me. Like, it's not like 20 million views, but it's like 800K for me. So like, what happened was everyone started vibing to the song. Like everyone had that nostalgic
Very
feel.
relatable.
Everyone grew up watching Doraemon. And when we put that theme music behind the Doreaki, like everyone like, yeah, I didn't even watch the recipe. I was just vibing to the song. Like everyone like commenting that.
The one conference that I watched Doraemon.
Yeah,
Me neither.
Okay, I accompany file.
It's probably on your shirt though, but God knows.
Probably there's like 10,000 characters on here, so.
And the best part was, in that case, just because of like the whole nostalgia thing and people enjoying the cartoon and the music, they didn't care about how authentic the recipe was.
Yeah.
There were some people who commented that, you know, this is how you make the authentic thing, for which we acknowledge that it's true and that we just made like an easier version, something that you could all make at home. In that specific case, obviously the authenticity didn't matter.
Yeah.
Do you have any such recipes
Thinking
or content?
not that I can think of.
Okay, I have one recipe which is like, it's called chili cheese bread. There's
right.
such recipe there. So one day, so I was prepared to, okay, let's do bread upma today. So I came up with the recipe and I was ready to shoot. I had everything prepped, like cut. So we were ready to shoot, and then a colleague comes in and was like, "In the recipe I'm already pannadilla." I was like, "What?" And so I went and searched, and then oh shit, we already have the recipe. Adukapram sorry, we all, if it is before prep, I wouldn't have mind, I would have changed. But I had everything ready, all the ingredients prepped, and I was like, okay, let's just do something. Edo pannem, and I wasn't even extremely
Thrilled about it. Yeah.
it was very random, this thing, no?
And very
tasted
basic,
good.
no?
Yeah, very basic. With things that you have at home.
What was the recipe?
Chili
It's
cheese bread.
What do you do?
So it's bread upma with cheese.
But a Chinese twist. Konjam the chili sauce and கடைசில சரி இப்போ கூட கொஞ்சம் பேசிக் நினைச்சிட்டு சரி ஃப்ரிட்ஜ்ல வந்து சீஸ் ஸ்லைஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்கு சீஸ் எல்லாம் கடைசில போட்டு க்ளோஸ் பண்ணி மெல்ட் ஆவனே we took it off. So we did that, and then that recipe blew up on YouTube and all. So that is very unexpected for me. So but I heard a lot of creators saying this, sometimes the things that you put a lot of effort into might not work, but then random things work. So that's a hit or miss, but then
Yeah, we say that all the time.
Yeah.
Not only we say that all the time. Look at this mango rolls. It took 3 days to make.
It took a week to edit.
Yeah.
2 weeks to edit. 10 hours of shoot, 2 days, 3 days of drying, 4 hours of shoot again, and editing. So between the first part and second part, Ram had already started editing the first part of the video. Then we shot the second part after 3 days after drying, and then he edited the second part Tanya and patched it all up, and he did that After Effects and all of that. I think he stayed here till 11:30 in the night and did it.
The video looked great,
Yeah,
no doubt.
the video is amazing.
But you just have no control over what actually goes viral on social media.
Same with KGF chicken, but it didn't perform
Yeah, and that is in trend too. When the movie
Yeah,
came out,
right.
we planned a dish around it with the same color theme and all, of KGF and the fire, just like the movie. But then, unfortunately, that didn't do great.
But then people ended up liking the recipe,
Yeah,
and
it
they
tasted
they wanted different dishes for different movies
Yeah.
after that.
I still remember Vandu Pudusla, we made wedding biryani, first hackathon. That reel of just plating it on the banana leaf, and the 65 urti uduvalla. That took me 45 minutes because he wasn't satisfied with the shot. So for 45 minutes I was only urtifying chicken 65 on a banana leaf. And after the reel went out, it did pay off, and that was satisfying.
See, these are things you don't see.
அது வேற என்ன நடந்தது?
But that is a lot of instances, where you need to drop something and you need to fall in the perfect spot, and then you keep dropping it again.
Exactly.
And again.
So these are all kuti things that you learn all on the way. Nobody prepares you for all of this.
And none of the viewers expect Ivlo takes are in the shot.
Yeah. And usually when the camera is not rolling, you do things casually, it turn out, and then they say, okay, action, and then you're like, why is it not working now?
It's a
yeah.
The camera.
And also, a lot of people so one video is going out today, I don't know, Gob Manchurian is going out today. So people just assume that, oh, you made it today only?
Correct.
Can I get to taste some? They think that it's made today.
Right now, yeah.
Edited today, published today, and then
I think some creators do that.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who
individual creators.
Individual creators who usually shoot videos themselves and they might edit it themselves.
I mean, respect to them though for the...
Of course, the effort that goes behind it is great. And also, just generally for people to know, it is possible. You can just do everything on a phone. But of course, we are doing that as a company, so that's a whole different ball game. But even being an individual creator has great opportunities now, honestly. You can make money, you can make a living out of it.
True.
But you just, again, you need to find your niche, you need to be consistent. I think all those things is what, and there's no answer for how consistent, what your niche is. So it's things that you kind of have to figure out, but I think it's still possible though, being an individual creator.
Yeah, but if you're producing a video and publishing it on the same day, if you're doing it for a very long time, it'll have a mental toll on you. You get burned out.
Yeah.
So I think us doing recipes, we do 3-4 recipes a day and we publish it one by one. I think it's it's very, what to say, it doesn't mess up your mental health.
We
And
need to
we have
focus
a
on one
team.
aspect.
Yeah, and we have an editing team, we have a production team.
So at some point, the full burden is not on you. Like you take one piece of it, keep it here, and then finally all of us carry one kutti parcel of burden with us, and then we let it go to see if it works or not.
And if you're doing collaborative work, you can come up with like better content. Like if you're the only person who's making the decision behind the video, like you can do much better if there's like 3-4 people, not like 10 people.
Yeah.
Like, if there's like 3-4 people behind the video.
Usually, if you're working alone, you're not critical enough about your own content. You think like, okay, my idea is the best idea, now let me just go and do it. But then there could actually be 10 ways in which you could make that better.
Yeah. So, like for any individual creators, like not creators, but people who want to create content, they tried putting out a video or two. Do you like have anything particular? Like because I see people like people I know trying to make food content. Like there's some common things I want to tell all of them. So I think there's a few things that we can just put out there. Like that's tips for people who want to make food content. So like some things that I have is like so people put a video of themselves making a dish, but then it involves everything from like peeling an onion, cutting an onion, and then doing this the whole step. So I think some things that you should, when you review a video, you should keep in mind is like see if the video is engaging throughout, and there's no like drop off. Like so okay, one common thing, maybe not for every piece of content, but like some stuff like peeling an onion, cutting an onion, it's something that everyone knows. It's common to every video. So that's something that you can avoid in your video. Show the interesting parts of the video first. And then one more thing is the hook, which is pretty common now for...
Can you explain what that is though?
I will. So the hook is the beginning few seconds of the video. So you're scrolling Instagram. So you're just going through like probably hundreds of videos a day. So the hook is something that will capture your attention. So it could be something as simple as showing the final dish itself, or like if you're making, I don't know, something tossed or something with a specific method. So it could be something that looks very pleasing, tossing, or you eating the dish. Actually, that's a great hook.
Yes.
So it shows you like enjoying the food, and then like it shows it in a very appetizing way. That's
So
something
essentially, it's your thumb stopper.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a great hook. And also, yeah, hook. It can also be something like the beginning, like how you were saying, the particular line that's very personal to that creator. That could be a hook. So something like that for any of you trying to make content, you need to look at hook, because it's no matter what, it's important, because people have too much content. You need to get their screen space. You need to get their attention.
Yeah, the attention span has gone down significantly since the advent of like TikTok and stuff.
Yeah, true.
Like
I can
people want to
feel
do this
personally.
already. Yeah. I don't even watch like full reels. I just do this.
I can't even sit and watch like a whole movie.
Not even. I just watch it on like, what is that? Fast forward.
Once in
Skip
15
to the
seconds,
good
you
part.
reset.
So do you guys have anything like particular for people? And okay, one more thing is keeping the content short, because people they just make content for like as long as possible. And also once you make content, you need to review it
if you're
from
doing YouTube now, like if you do long format now, it should
No, I'm talking about reels in particular.
Only
just,
reels.
Just
Okay.
reels. Like, okay, still know what I've been talking about is just reels, please. So, and also people like so shorten the content to whatever is needed. Like try to cut off the extra bits is something that I feel personally. At least that's kind of an try I like. And also once you make content, try to put yourself in someone else's shoes and then watch a video again.
Right.
Because you need to be a bit critical if you want other people to enjoy your content.
Yeah, have
Would
to
you
ask
watch it yourself?
Yeah, you have to
Yes.
ask a few questions to yourself, like why would someone watch it? Why would I watch it? What makes them watch it? Stuff like that. If you ask yourself questions and you can give good justifications for it, go ahead. Like,
If you have good enough reason,
Yeah.
it's probably a good content.
And if it is something that's relatable to like a larger audience in general, then that would be great. If it's very targeted to a very, very niche specific audience, like you don't generally know who's going to view your content. So if it's going to be something that's very, very specific and non-relatable, then there's more chance that people will actually skip it and just go past your piece of content. Like you could even be teaching the same thing that millions of other people like already teach on the internet, like he said, like maybe cutting an onion. But it's the way that you do it and the way that your video is actually shot that people would want to stop and watch it. It could come under any category, like we said initially. It could be educational, it could be purely just entertainment, it could be aesthetic. You could just have your own style. But that's what kind of makes you unique. It doesn't matter if you're doing something that a million other people have done before. And I personally, at least, like I've been selling right from the beginning, I think you can't just put one video and figure out whether you're a creator or you're not cut out for this yet. There's some amount of time that you have to put in and effort and number of times that you have to try it before you are ready to give up, I guess.
Do you think there's a number like okay, this many videos is what it takes? I think at least a few tens of videos.
Yes, for
Not
sure.
like not even single.
Single
It has to be
digits,
double
just
digit.
don't cut it. Yeah.
Probably like take a month or two of content and put it like at least like 20-30 videos.
Probably yes. And in those 20-30 videos, you keep experimenting. And like we also currently do, you experiment something, you do a different bunch of different formats, and something that works, you try doing a few more of that. Then you can figure out whether that works or whether you can drop that concept, not drop this as a career or as a
Yeah. True.
side hustle altogether. So
I think we have covered most
Yeah.
aspects.
I guess let's check if we've left out anything. Oh, do you guys think there's any cons to being like a chef content creator? Because I think we spoke about a lot of pros, like nice things that you can do and teach people and all that. But what do you think are like the cons of actually being a content creator for social media?
Like personally, I think like everyone in my close circle thinks I'm famous now. Like I don't get it.
Why is that a con?
It is sometimes like என்னப்பா நீ famous ஆயிட்ட எங்களை மறந்துட்ட.
You
Like,
mean that ticks you off?
Yeah, but
It's not a con of the.
It's not a
whole
con
process,
of it.
yeah.
like,
It's your con,
no,
not
like
the job.
like no, like I think like you lose some privacy if you like blow up. I'm not talking about me in personal, like the content creator, like they lose.
Possibly.
Yeah, if I'm like Shah Rukh Khan, I want to go to a grocery store buy stuff, but just because he's a celebrity is not like.
But that's suffering from success. That might be a
Yeah.
But they're still like suffering
from success. But I think one actual con is like not for me personally, but then a lot of people get when the like negative comments or hate comments gets to them. Like if you're someone who like it gets to you, like just don't like. I don't think there's another way to put it. Like just don't let it affect you. You could use it very constructively. You can get the
Right.
like take criticism, take feedback from it, and try to improve on it. But then that's something that you should be wary of.
Yeah,
You're putting yourself out there for open for anyone to criticize. So
like sometimes people in the internet don't make sense.
yeah,
They just want to like put you down.
And
Everyone can
argue
talk.
and
Yeah,
yes.
I mean everyone has the freedom to
You
do that.
can
So
express.
they use that freedom to the full extent.
Yeah,
Sometimes
maybe-
it's mindless, sometimes it makes sense.
Yeah, like sometimes you have to ask yourself, like, him telling me this, does it really matter to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to choose mental peace.
Yeah.
I think another, like the thing that you mentioned, but in a slightly different way, is you could lose privacy, but like internet privacy. Because when you decide to be a content creator, your profile is going to be open for people to reach out to you. They have some amount of your personal information that's accessible to them. So that's also something that you should be prepared of, like unwanted DMs and stuff like that are just part of the entire thing of being a content creator. And like you said about not giving mind space to like hate comments or negative comments, this also falls under the same bucket where you try not to give any mental space to any of the unwanted DMs or interactions that you might receive on the internet, because you genuinely can't tell if the other person on the other side of the screen is being genuine or is what their intent is behind doing a certain action. So it's best to just completely not give any mental space to it, so you kind of look past
I think
whatever that is.
Something that help in that is like if there's something particular that affects you or triggers you, there's a few features on like Instagram and stuff where you can block off
Right.
particular keywords.
Yeah.
So make the best use of that. Like if it affects you, so anything with this particular word, I don't even want it on the. You can't even comment using that.
Right.
So it just gets blocked off automatically. I think
Yeah, and
that's a
it's-
good feature. Like
It's not about ignoring it. If there is something that triggers you or you find that someone's doing something wrong, there is nothing stopping you from actually reporting them or taking it to like higher levels like cybercrime or something like that if it's an actual issue. But if it is something petty that's kind of taking you off, then it's better to just ignore the person, because
Yes.
that usually makes it go away.
Yeah.
and like in most cases, don't argue with people on the internet because it's
Yeah.
a waste of time.
Time, effort, energy.
It's a rabbit hole. You just keep digging, keep going.
I mean, at sometimes like when other people argue, and I just go through them like
Yeah.
watching the world. burn.
Entertaining.
But then I wouldn't get into that.
I
Is
know.
there
Yeah.
anything left from your checklist?
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered everything that we wanted to run over today.
Yeah, I just like to say one thing. On a low day, from my own personal experience, I'd say as a content creator, don't try forcing things to work. I don't know how else to put it, but maybe one thing that I've learned was take time, analyze your mistakes, see what you can do, see how you can move forward from there. But just because sometimes things don't work, don't start forcing things to work in a certain way. It'll only backfire on you. So, yeah, that's one.
Not in topic with any of this, but kind of I think one thing that you have to keep in mind while being a content creator on social media is that you have to be collaborative, because it's a very collaborative platform.
It's called social media.
Exactly. So you have to be open to working with other content creators as well. It's not about being selfish and getting all the views to yourself. But more often than not, working with other content creators actually brings out like a better side of you and cross exposes you to their viewership as well. So I think that's also like it's a nice thing, because content creators usually support content creators. It's not about freebies and doing videos or content for free, but it's about just supporting and building the community together. So I think that is also something that could help in like an overall picture, which is actually a pro of content creation, if anything.
One more for content creation. So, like, I think the potential is crazy. Like,
True.
you don't know what might work. You want to do something, just do it. That's what I think. Because okay, there's one example I have in mind. You know the lady who has this cup of coffee, like black coffee, and she's written something.
Yeah.
She adds some milk. And then the message comes clear. That's the only thing she does. And she has millions of followers, millions of views in each video. So
she just writes nice stuff on her cup.
Probably it takes 2 minutes to shoot the video. I am assuming. No edit, because it's just one.
Exactly,
clip.
a single frame.
Yeah, so you never know what's gonna work. So just I think you should put it out there. Be as experimental as you can.
Yeah, but be confident in front of the camera. If you're like shy, nobody's gonna watch you.
But you know what? I mean, you have to be yourself.
No, I think be real.
No, be but if you have to like be you in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like, the confident you. Like you don't have to be like, if you're like shy filming in front of other people, that's fine. But if you're like filming, you have to be you.
And also, I think it takes a bit of time. Like the first time, okay, probably fake it till you make it the first time, I guess. But then, like I'm talking about self-confidence. Like, as you said. But then, like, it takes a bit of time. It doesn't come naturally to everyone.
Yeah, same. It took me like
I think
forever.
For all of us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to speak this freely.
I couldn't speak 2 lines in front of the camera when I first joined.
PTS.
Okay, and with that, I think we'll keep going on and on, because this is what we do for a living. But we have to end this at some point.
So let's call it wraps.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll see all of you guys in the next episode of Cookd Bytes. Bye.
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 I called it raps.
We already did.
Raps.